Welcome back to Price Action Trading series from Market Secrets. This is episode 18 of the series, and in this episode, we are going to learn how to draw trend lines methodically for continuation patterns, which is otherwise called as CPs. So let's get on with today's session. So here are the rules that you need to follow while drawing the trend line methodically for CPs, that is continuation patterns. Let me explain it with an example. Rules for drawing trend line for CP is different from drawing trend lines for valleys and peaks. We have discussed about drawing trend lines for valleys and peaks, that is extremes, in the previous episode. So refer that video for the rules for drawing the trend lines for extremes. The most important factor here is a continuation pattern cannot be used with valleys and peaks to form a trend line. So you should not mix both. We can create trend lines using two valleys or two peaks or three CPs. As simple as that. You cannot form a trend line using one valley and one or two CPs. Likewise, you cannot draw a trend line using one peak and one or two CPs. We can create a trend line if we find three CPs continuously in the chart. So if you look at here, there are four CPs continuously in the chart. Once three CPs are formed continuously, you can draw an aggressive trend line connecting all the three CPs. If there is a fourth CP, you can move the trend line. Just like you move the trend line for valleys and peaks, whenever a new valley and peak is formed, you need to keep on moving this aggressive trend line whenever a new CP is printed. So if you have three CPs, you can connect and form a trend line. If there is a fourth CP, you can connect the last three. If there is another CP here, you can connect for these three CPs, that is CP3, 4 and 5. So the basic rule is we can create a trend line if we find three CPs in the chart continuously. Once the third CP is created, we are allowed to draw a more aggressive trend line by connecting them, since we consider price is probably overextended. So the price is probably overextended, which means the price has shot up too fast in a very short span of time, and that is why we call the trend line drawn using CPs as aggressive trend line. We will only use the CPs to draw the more aggressive trend line when three or more consecutive CPs are created. So if you take this particular diagram, the valley V1 is formed here and the valley 2 is formed here. And when the price breaks P1, right? So when the price breaks V1 here, the second valley is generally confirmed and we will be able to draw this particular trend line. But once this trend line is formed, the price started making CPs one after other. And once the third CP is created, we are allowed to draw a more aggressive trend line, and whenever there is any new additional CPs being created, we can draw a more aggressive trend line. So it is possible to see the CPs before a new value is printed here, but they will be irrelevant on how we draw the trend line, since we are not allowed to use them to connect the trend lines. And once this aggressive trend line is broken, a new supply zone will be created. And lastly, when overextension will be resetted. If the price has been printing three or more CPs consecutively, we will consider that time frame might be in overextension. If after a series of consecutive CPs, price creates a new valley, overextension will be resetted and we will be allowed to draw a new trend line connecting the latest two valleys. So to reiterate, when the price forms a new valley after these CPs, you can take this valley and the new valley and you can connect these two valleys to form a trend line. And by that time, this aggressive trend line will be broken and a new supply zone would have been created. This is how you need to draw the trend line methodically for continuation pattern. Hope you got the overall picture on how to draw the trend lines now. So this episode along with the last four episodes can be used to draw the trend lines methodically and mechanically. If you have any queries on drawing the trend lines even after this, please drop it in the comment section. We'll be happy to answer it. Hit the like button if you have liked this video and share it with your friends if you find it useful. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video or conduct a live session. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.